Good evening, everyone, and thanks for coming in. Hope you're all safe and well, and welcome to our third chat with Jack and Scott. That's our third one, Jack, so we must be doing something right. 3 shows, so that's not too bad. Our third victims are Nadine and Sam. What? Third? Did I say fifth? Oh. Nadine and Sam from SUNDOWN Paranormal UK. We've had them on before, but such a good laugh, we thought we'd bring them back again to see what they've been up to.
Welcome.
Yeah. Welcome, Jack. Welcome,
Hey, everyone.
Welcome back. So there's going to be a lot of people that have never saw you before.
Right.
Right.
If you can just give us a bit of, the usual kind of background kind of stuff. Not about the weather.
No.
Right. No, we're not talking about the weather then. Sorry, I'm just sharing quickly, guys.
Talk about the weather if you want, Jack.
Yeah, Jack's and her weather over there in the nice warm. Okay, sorry, guys. Just shared it out. There we go. You have my full undivided attention. Hello.
Oh,
Hi, Craig. Yeah. So, what would you like to know? Where we started, what we're doing? We've,
what's your weather like?
yeah, me and Sam have had paranormal experiences all our life. We formed our group about 1.5 years ago. It's Sam, my best friend, my little sister Kristen does the camera work, and then we have 2 other friends, Steph and Em, that join in once in a while. That was a very rushed. Hey, yeah, you've heard this all before. No, Sam, go on, you talk for once.
Okay, I'll try. Yeah, we just started. It was on lockdown, wasn't it? We sat down and we're thinking about things what we could do. So we've always been interested in it. We've always watched programs, didn't we, about paranormal, and we've had it when we were younger. We had strange things happening, and we thought, why don't we go out and investigate this? Why don't we go out ourselves and see, and see what we can find? And then when we went out, we were quite surprised what we were catching, weren't we? Some evidence we were getting. It was like, wow, that's quite crazy,
Oh, it was total noob stuff, though. I mean, we went out in the dark with like a normal camera, couldn't see a thing. It's just, but it was fun, we enjoyed it. And I think from that second, we were like, yeah. I mean, we've always obviously known there was things out there, but I think it's totally, well, you probably both agree that it's totally different when you're out there looking for them, So we just hooked, love it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to get back to Laura's comment. Hey, Craig and Laura, that's husband and wife.
Look, Scott, just because I'm a favourite, okay? Just don't be jealous. She posted on my page. She posted on my page saying, "Oh yeah, my favourites," and I was like, "Yeah." And Scott had to join in, like, "Well, I heard that." I was like, "Uh huh."
Wait a minute.
She did include Scott though.
She couldn't be after the thought, probably.
So, oh, sugar! He's going to be on there as well. I better correct this.
I mean, we had a bit of comedy as well, didn't we, when we first started? I walked into a wall.
Yeah, because he didn't know how to use a night vision camera. He was holding a night vision camera, walked straight into the wall instead of going through the doorway. Tripping over steps in the dark. It was hilarious. Some great
So it's just the 2 of you on the team?
No, we have me, Sam, my little sister Kristen, and then there's 2 other girls that join us once in a while. But they come like they've got busy lives, like they work like normal jobs.
Normal jobs.
Yeah, one's a nurse.
Who has that anymore?
Yeah, one's a teaching assistant. So
that's nice.
They come when they can.
Yeah.
Who's telling such lies? That'd be your wife, Craig. I mean, Sam, I need to ask you. This is Nadine says about the night vision and the walking into a wall.
Yeah.
How did you not notice it? Did you not see the wall?
No, because the thing is, I was so busy concentrating on the camera and trying to not looking around me and my surroundings. I'm just looking at a screen, and the next minute, bang. You know, I tried to pull it off well though, like that didn't happen.
Try,
That didn't happen, you know, and try and divert it. But Nadine's like, you can't run away from the camera. You know?
You should show that footage. That's good footage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I will find it for you, Scott. I will find it.
Yeah.
Please do find it if you want to show it, you know. I mean, that's embarrassing. I think we've all done it, you know. And once we've been concentrating stuff there. I walked into a bin in Glasgow one day. I was walking up one of the main streets in Glasgow, and the bin must have been about 4 foot high. It's one of these big, black, massive, you know. You probably got them in America, Jackson's everything bigger in America. You probably get the big bin, you know.
Yeah, the sun and everything's bigger. You can fit in things. And...
Over here, the sun's like this. In America,
oh, everything's very small there.
Yeah.
I was walking along, and I can't even remember. I was looking and I walked right into this bin, you know, and there's nothing you can do to hide it, you know, because everything's easy doing it, you know, so it can be quite embarrassing. But that's what makes it paranormal fun, you know, no walking into bins, you know, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the things that happen, like Sam walking into a wall.
Those are always my favorite moments. So in the time period that you started to now, what's the best evidence you've found so far?
Oh, we've had so much really good stuff. But I think like the latest one that not the latest one we got a few weeks ago has to be, for me, the best. We have got like quite a lot of really cool evidence, but we were investigating an abandoned rectory, and we were on live on Facebook, and the spirit box wasn't really making any sense. So I said, "Oh, you're being unintelligible at the moment," and then a voice came through, clear as day, full sentence, saying, "I'm a demon," and then I went, "Are you?" You know, because you hear it all the time. I'm a demon. I'm a demon. And then Sam goes, "If you're a demon," we've got a REM pony, a little REM pod that we made, a little REM pony. Sam goes, if you're a demon, touch the pony. And like literally a few seconds later, the pony gets knocked over.
Oh, wow.
So that for me has to be like
that's amazing.
So far. Yeah, I loved it.
That's awesome.
Because it was live as well.
Too.
Yeah. I mean, you can see us literally walk up the stairs, put the REM pod down, walk around the room, you know, and then all of a sudden it's like, I'm a demon, knocks the body over. So,
wow, that's crazy.
What about you, Sam?
I don't know, we've had quite a bit, haven't we? We caught an apparition, didn't you, as well, Dan? And didn't you?
Yeah, we've got the shadow figure as well in the hotel. We've got like a picture of a shadow figure right behind us. We've got some really cool stuff.
Oh, that's amazing.
I mean, speaking of the rectory as well, there was one in the other room that said it was an angel. It was a really weird place, wasn't it? And I said, we had a cat ball on the table, and I said, if you're an angel, can you set the cat ball off 3 times? And it did. You know, we've had some really interesting stuff.
Oh, that's great interaction.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's the thing. I know, you know, a lot of people don't. I used to never bother with tech and what have you. Guys, the K2 meter, the cat balls, a lot of people put them down and say they can be manipulated. But if you're getting the K2 lighting up on command, you know, if you ask a certain question and ask it to go yellow, and it goes to yellow and then goes dormant again. That's actually debunked. You know, a lot of people probably argue, or you know, somebody's got a phone nearby it, or you know, whatever. It's an radio wave. But if it's doing it on demand, then it's really, really hard to debunk.
We had it on the live on Sunday night where we put REM pods literally everywhere. And I was saying, like, can you like the one behind, make the one behind me go off? And it was. Can you make the one like the carousel go off? And it was. Really intelligent responses at the place we went to on Sunday.
And it actually put both on at the same time as well, didn't it?
Yeah.
It actually hit both.
You can see both REM pods going off at the same time. One's beside me and one's right behind me.
Oh, wow.
So it was really, really good.
What's your favorite piece of equipment that you used?
So?
I, don't know,
Like
Sorry, I always answer first, so I'm letting Sam have a bit of...
I like the necro. I like the necro for like it gives you a little bit of guidance, but then I like the cat balls because you can't really debunk them. You know, like what Scott said, if you ask them to do it a certain way or touch them a certain amount of times,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, one time it could be like anything like a vibration or something, but when it flashes numerous times,
Mhm.
you know, you can't really sort of debunk that, can you, as such, because you've asked it and it's doing it itself. You know, and I think that's amazing evidence.
And the
And then
cat balls are solid. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
we've got a few of them. You know, they're not exactly a flimsy wee bit of plastic. You know, I don't know whether they're like in America, Jack, but you know, the ones we get here, they're quite. You can throw them, and they'll no go. You know, I've done
Yeah.
it a few times. Rolling along the grass or whatever, and they don't go. So they are quite hard to
Well, we had them last night, didn't we? That's like it happened a few times during the live where the balls were literally just they weren't turning on, but they were moving on their own,
like
Mhm.
vibrating, weren't
like
they?
rocking. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So it was My favorite piece of equipment is I like REM pods. I do like using REM
Yeah,
pods.
REM pods are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
For people in the United States, there's so many people here that want to go over to Europe and investigate. What's like probably the most haunted location that you've ever been to that you would recommend for people from the US to go to?
At the Royal Arcade in Keighley, hands down. Love it. Sam?
Yeah, I mean, I would say we've had a lot of activity there, haven't we? That's been
Yeah.
one of the most places we've had activity.
The Royal Arcade is it's a old Edwardian street that there's a shopping arcade above it, like an old, really old, I think it's 1800s.
Uh-huh.
And while they were doing renovations, they knocked through a wall and they found this street that the shopping arcade had literally been built on top of this street underneath the shopping arcade. And
Oh
it
wow.
still had its like things in it, like there's still like a laundrette there and like not like washing machines and stuff, but with like old presses and honestly it's an amazing place to go.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's
like a little time capsule, isn't it? It's Edwardian.
Edwardian, which is older, isn't it? Yeah, it's Edwardian.
That's cool. That's really cool.
But he's left everything down there as well, you know, as it
Hi,
was,
Emma.
which is, isn't it? Everything's still like in the shops. It's like even the blacksmiths are still there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
There's a lot of trigger objects there, yeah.
I think that'd be amazing to find, you know, something like that. Do you usually say that's the most haunted place you've been?
Yeah.
I think it's definitely the best place we've been to. I mean, the hotel we were at the other night, we didn't really get a chance to investigate a lot of it because there was a lot of people there and a lot of other teams and stuff. And we were invited by the other team and we were obviously spending time doing what they wanted to do in theirs. The hotel, I mean, from the responses with the REM pods and stuff, seemed pretty active. And at one point, they thought there was a child there, and they started talking. I was like, "Wait, there, you're not a child." And as soon as I said, "You're not a child," this deep, dark voice comes through. I was like, "I knew you weren't a child," you know. So I think in that hotel, there might be a lot of things that are trying to mimic things, and it'd be a great place to do a few. It's quite far away from us. It's like 2.5 hours drive from us, but it'd be a great place to do a few investigations and get through the layers of what's actually there. I'd love to do that. But the Royal Arcade is definitely my favourite place.
I mean, it's massive, that hotel, isn't it? It's going to take us a few investigations to get around it. There's a lot of outbuildings and other buildings connected to it. You know,
Wow.
It's going to take quite a while to go through it all.
You know, I watched your video earlier on tonight, this evening, whatever, a couple of hours ago, about the investigation you done at the Boar. I can't remember it. Boar Inn.
The Wild Boar. Yeah.
First thing I noticed about it was the decor in it, the ceiling.
Yeah.
Guys there.
Is it what? Sorry.
is there Tudor ties to that building?
See, I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe it was made to look that way. I don't think it's actually Tudor. I think it was built to look like a Tudor building. I believe so. I could be wrong.
That's the first thing that struck me, especially.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I know it's no paranormal. It's a really, really nice.
From what I do know, from what I understand anyway, is that it has been like a school and stuff like that previously, a manor house, a school, a hotel. So it has been there a long time. But I don't think it's Tudor. I think it was just,
The way they
fabricate to look like that. Yeah.
Wow.
As I was watching it, there's a part in it where you break something, Nadine. I don't know why you broke it.
Me break something? That would never happen. Ever.
Malfunction. It was a malfunction technical error.
Yeah. Okay, I broke something else.
Jack, you broke it. Simple as it's on camera. You broke it. Whatever it was, it was broken.
Yeah, I did it.
But when you were standing, trying to repair it, see, I get the feeling that behind you there was a girl standing in the corner. I put a comment on it. There was a young girl, maybe 8 or 9 years old, standing. And she was coming back forward, and there was a boy there as well. It felt like brother and sister. And they were curious about you, and they were kind of going back and forward. It's when you were standing.
Do you know, it's funny you say that, because we did another live. Well, we didn't do another live. The group who were with Beyond the Grave Paranormal. I kept saying to them in the back door when we were doing their live, because we all of us sat in a circle. I said there's something that keeps coming in and out of the door at the back, like look, as if it was looking in, curious, and then going back out.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't I knew it was there. So it's funny you say that they were curious, and but I didn't see that at all.
It's just that kind of feel when you watch something. I don't know if you've had the Jack as well. You watch something and you can sense something else in the picture or on the video. That's there, and that's what I go. There was a wee boy, a wee girl, possibly brother and sister. They were going back and forward. But the wee girl tended to stick to that kind of corner, and she was, you know what it was like? I don't know if you've ever seen it. You get a brother and sister, and the brother's trying to say to the sister, come on, it's okay. We'll do this, we'll try.
Yeah.
You can do that kind of thing. That's what it felt like.
Right. I'll have to watch it back.
Actually,
we did watch it last night. I totally missed it. Honestly, I didn't.
Yeah. I think it's about 15, 17 minutes in.
I do know that the group that have been there before who we were with, have communicated with children there. And I think, they had communicated with children there. I don't know any of the names. But I think when we first went in, Alan, who runs the team, when we first went there, if you hear on the live, he says about a little boy. And I said, well, why are you talking about a little boy? Like, because I was curious as to why he thought the spirit was a little boy, because I want to know, So he did say there was a little boy there at the beginning. And then I think we were talking to the kids, but then something darker came in and scared them.
Yeah, I mean the energy was crazy, wasn't it?
So maybe people think it's a little boy or a little girl, but it really isn't.
Yeah, that's what I've said. That's why I said you're not a kid. I say on the live, I say you're not a child. Knew straight away that. It's not just that. It's stuff like when people say, how old are you? And it goes 2. Oh, well, you're talking very well for a 2-year-old,
Yeah.
And you're very intelligent for a 2-year-old. You're not a child.
Wow.
We all know spirits like to, especially negative spirits like to disguise themselves as children. I think children's the kind of most common thing, because they know that adults, investigators, whatever, will be attracted to children more than they will, because they want to help them. What about you, Jax? Have you ever watched a video and felt that there's something else in the background?
We actually I just recently went on an investigation where I felt like it actually felt like more like a school-like environment. But when I got there, it felt like it was different. Like it wasn't like about children. It was more like about really dark, just different spirits that like weren't children at all. And the weird thing is I kept feeling something really dark, like coming up towards me. And the whole time we were there, I was thinking like, this is crazy. This is like nothing like I expected here at all. So yeah, I think that a lot of spirits will pretend to be like children, and then, or you're told that they're children, and you get there and it's not children.
No, I totally agree. I don't really trust children's spirits. I don't trust them.
It happened to us at Caldwell when we first started investigating Caldwell. I think it was our first 2 investigations. We had the feeling that we were talking with children, because the responses we were getting back, are you a kid, etc. And it was later on, and after Andy Murphy and Mandy as well, who was in the chat, Ghost Sisters, Andy Murphy, Mandy, and Charlie. We realised, Jennifer as well, for our American team, we realised there was actually adult spirits, a man, 2 males, we think, and a woman.
I'm pretty sure I messaged you saying a similar thing.
Yeah, I think you did,
Yeah.
It turned out we were getting adult spirits, basically. There were children there, but not when we thought there was, if that makes sense. For some reason, these spirits wanted us to think that they were kids.
Yeah.
Because we were at Caldwell a couple of months. Further down the line, as our investigations went on, we did pick up on actual children. But initially, we found it was adults. Posing children, basically.
Yeah.
I
actually agree with Nadine. I don't think that most, what they call children's spirits, I don't think children go after death and try to go back and haunt people. I think that darker energy tries to pretend like they're children because they want you to think that they're innocent, or they're not going to harm you when they can. But I just don't see, like, if you're one type of person on Earth as a real human being and you die and then you cross over, I feel like you're basically the same. But I don't think children would be like, hey, I think I'm going to go back and, horribly treat people wrong and haunt them and do horrible things. I think that's honestly just evil spirit coming back, and like as an adult, and they'll pretend that there's something more innocent. But yeah, I really don't believe majority of the time that, I mean, sometimes I can see maybe sometimes, but it's so rare that I think when they say they're a child that it's really a child.
Yeah. I think in circumstances where like they've died suddenly or something like that, they might not know they're dead and stuff like that. But I think like you just said, the majority of them are absolutely not, because why would they still be there? Exactly. They're innocent. They'll have moved on to wherever they were moving on to.
I mean, did you say, Jack, if they were negative, and I mean, like, so you take, Ted Bundy or Gacy or something like that, who were all executed. I don't see them, being executed and passing over and suddenly turning into angels. Being all nice and goody kind of thing. I think that they were.
I also think with people like Ted Bundy and John Wayne Gacy and serial killers, and a lot of them, I think there's a lot of people that worship them for whatever reason, whatever psychology that is, and will try to contact them a lot. So therefore, they probably wouldn't move on anyway because they're still getting, the admiration.
Yeah. Well, if you seriously like stop and you think about, like, majority of hauntings is because that person died of a tragic death. Like, how many times do you hear a haunting situation where someone just died peacefully in their sleep? No, you don't hear stories like that. So I think it's when someone's life is tragically taken, they don't understand that they're dead. Yeah. I think they're in a state of confusion where it's like in the kind of somewhere in the middle of some realm where they think they're still here, but they're not quite sure what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually what causes the energy to stay. And so, like, you know, for instance, like I was saying before, if you were a mean person in real life, you're probably going to be a mean spirit.
Yeah.
But, you know, but I think that's what happens because, like I said, I mean, how many places have you gone to and they'll say like, oh, you know, Mr. Larry died peacefully in his sleep and now he haunts us, you know, like, no, you know, it's usually like, oh, you know, he was murdered or stabbed or I mean, some major horrible, you know, thing has happened to them. It's tragic. And I think it puts them in a different realm of confusion after death.
Yeah, I think as well, like along those lines, is places like if someone bought John Wayne Gacy's house, I'm sure someone has, the imprint of the energy of that's happened, like of everything.
Absolutely.
That's happened in the house could be causing a haunting. You know, so people might move in and go, well, John Wayne Gacy's here, but it's actually, you know, the psychic imprint on
the energy.
House. Yeah,
that's right. Absolutely.
You see John Wayne Gacy's house, you know, with the amount that happened there, you know, is it the children, the victims that are still there? Are they still confused as to, you know, why they're there?
Yeah, probably.
And as you say, Jack, you know, they're in a kind of state of confusion. And do you think maybe that's what is stopping them from passing over? Because they've not accepted that they are dead, and so it's kind of like a barrier that's stopping them from passing over, and that's why they're kind of hanging about here, you know.
Well, it's like their death wasn't natural, so something has happened to them that's, you know, drastic, and you know, it's like in a phase of I'm trying to think of the right word to say, but it's just like this tragic thing that's just all of a sudden happened to them and it wasn't supposed to happen. So it puts them in a state of like it kind of almost like it wasn't their time. So
unable to accept kind of thing.
Yeah. So they it's like even in death they become like in a state of confusion of like what's happened to me? Like, am I dead? Am I alive? Like, I don't even know if they even realize they're dead, but they still think that they're in their own space. And that's a lot of the people that I know think like, okay, this is why they're still here, because they're seriously like almost in like denial of the fact that they're actually dead. And then now you're in their space, and so they're angry.
Yeah.
So a lot of the spirits will become very vicious and, you know, and then say horrible things or try to pretend like there's something that they're not because they want you out of their space. So it's different because, you know, on this side of it being a, you know, a live human, we don't really think about like what they're going through and what they're feeling. You know, we don't even understand that part of it. We just think like, oh, they're dead. They're just dead. That's it. And, you know, some people have, even after death, they have a way of communicating with us. And that's basically where it ends for people who are in the paranormal. It's like, that's the line. But we also forget that they're still thinking and feeling and wondering and confused of like why they're there and what has happened to them because something tragic happened. So it's interesting how a lot of people don't even go that far into thinking that.
So what about the old scenario, the old theory, the unfinished business kind of thing?
You guys froze.
Oh no, I was reading Laura's comment.
I was seeing Laura put up the unfinished business scenario. What do you think of that? Do you think that maybe a thing as well?
I think like unfinished business would be more when you know you were going to die, but you know you still had things to do.
Like, or maybe things to try and put right, maybe. You know, maybe like your life ended before it should have done, and maybe try and find a way to try and resolve it.
And
I
for like the people that are just killed without even like realizing they were going to be killed, you know, that's like different to the people that know they're going to die. You know.
Well, even here on Earth and after death, we are energy.
Mm-hmm.
So your energy here and your energy there. So your energy crosses over, but if your energy crosses over naturally, that's just a natural way of going. Yeah. But if someone walks in and shoots you in the back of the head, you know, it's like your energy's gone somewhere, but now it's confused of like what has happened to you, because 1 second you're alive and now 1 second you're dead. Like, where's your state of mind in death?
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that's where people get lost in the realm of, where am I? What is happening? Because they think they're still where they were.
See, I think as well about angry spirits and that, I think some of them get trapped and maybe get angry as well, you know, if they can't find a way out. You know, and that's maybe why you get a lot of malicious spirits as well, you know, that are trying to find a way out and can't find it.
Exactly. And they try to communicate with us because they want to figure out what's happened to them and, you know, how do they get back, but they can't. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
See, I think also that, like I've said this before, I think I've said it on one of your interviews, Scott. You'll get people that'll go into, like, say, a hospital, for example, and they'll be like, oh, there's this woman called Susan who hung herself on floor 3, right? And then you get people, investigators, going in, and all they ask for is Susan. And you've got like any bit of contact to get through. It's like, oh, it must be Susan. And then you've got other spirits sat there like, I'm not fucking Susan. Do you know what I mean? My name's Mark, and I have a message for people. Is it wonder like they get really bloody angry? Is it, you know, I would get angry if I had a message for someone. I'd like wanted to communicate who I was, and they're like, oh, well, it's Sarah. It's not bloody Sarah. You know, I would really get annoyed. I know I'd get annoyed. Yeah. I'd be yeeting things across the room.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the things it's like what we do, we don't look at the background. We just go and see what we find. You know, we try not to look at history or anything like that. Just go in, see what you
That's
find.
the best way.
Yeah. Even after investigations, we don't look up history.
Yeah.
Because these places we go several times before we've completed investigating there. You know, I don't like to know the history. I don't like to know who's died there. I don't like to know what it really was. I want to see
I'm the same
what
way.
we get through. Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
What you said there, Nadine, is quite interesting. You say, you know, hospital, maybe Susan hung herself, so people go in, oh, we've got Susan here, Susan's here. It's the same, and it's something that really annoys me. And I'll probably get shot down for saying it, but you know what? I don't care, because it's the same in Greyfriars. You know, Greyfriars is famous for being where George Mckenzie is buried.
Yes.
You know, Blood in Mckenzie, as he was known. And you get all these teams, I'm not going to name anybody, but you get these teams, and they go to Greyfriars, and right away, we've got the Mckenzie poltergeist.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if Jax is familiar with who George Mckenzie was.
Probably not.
No. George Mckenzie was the Lord Advocate to King Charles I. And during the War of the Covenanters, when the Covenanters lost the war, they were rounded up and brought into Edinburgh, and they were put into what's known as the Covenanters prison. So George Mckenzie was given the job by the king to basically get rid of them, to deal with them, you know. So hundreds of them were tortured, and those who didn't die from disease, starvation, were tortured and hung, basically.
Wow.
So George Mckenzie earned the name Bloody Mckenzie. When he died, he was buried in Greyfriars, which is attached to what was the Covenanters prison. So you got all these teams, and they go in, and they'll pick up whatever activity, and they'll say it's Mckenzie poltergeist. It's George Mckenzie that's doing it, you know. And the Mckenzie poltergeist doesn't exist. There's no such thing.
See,
the Mckenzie poltergeist was a made-up name to go to fit with a book. But you get these people who are deluded and think that George Mckenzie is their friend, you know. and it's just
I
the
think,
same. It's along the same kind of lines.
Yeah.
like, for one, why would Mckenzie be there? Why would Mckenzie be an unrested soul? Because Mckenzie was doing what his king told him to. And it's even true now in war. If your commander tells you to do something, then it's just,
Yeah, it's true.
So why would he feel any guilt or remorse or anything? Why would he be hanging around when he was doing what he loved and what he was told to do by his king? He'd have passed on. Why would he be there?
We've investigated Greyfriars so many times before we found out that the investigations are actually banned there now. But we've had nothing. One time
Yeah.
it lasted about 3 or 4 seconds. We picked up on a mail. It was very, very brief, and that was it. We must
Yeah,
have investigated Greyfriars about 20 times. God.
I actually found Greyfriars very peaceful.
It's very, very peaceful, but you get these teams that go in and say it's the Mckenzie poltergeist because they've read it in a book or they've seen a film, or some tour guides told them about it, or whatever.
I was more interested in finding Bobby. Bobby's a dog. Greyfriars Bobby is a dog, and I wanted to find the dog.
That's funny.
Dog actually no buried in Greyfriars.
Go away! Stop shattering my dreams.
He's not. Because there was a law back then that animals could not.
Yeah, but
be
his
buried.
master is buried there, and he visited his master's grave. So why wouldn't he still be doing that as a spirit, looking for his master?
Oh, it's possible.
Yeah,
But
there you go. Don't shatter my dreams.
I know where the dog's well. We think
Do you want to fight? Do you want to fight?
I want to watch this. This is getting good. Get my popcorn.
Come on.
Let me go pop some popcorn. Hold on.
Yeah.
How many hundreds of miles are you
I
away
do
from
believe in
it?
ghost animals, by the way. I do think you do have ghost animals.
Well, I believe that as well. I mean, animals have got a soul the same as humans have. So when when their time comes in, why not? Laura, she's seen a couple of her pets still kicking about the house, basically. But no, I say the Mckenzie thing is something that because we've researched Greyfriars for years and we've done a lot in Edinburgh, and it's just these people who say it's the Mckenzie poltergeist that's done it. There's no such thing,
Go on, Sam. Sorry.
The thing that I find though as well, I mean, I don't know if it's just my experience, is when we've been to like some big places, you think the energy's been that hammered.
I was just about to say that.
Everybody's been there and constantly, trying to get
Asking.
answers and answers. Do you think the spirits ever get tired and think, oh God, they're asking the same questions again and again, and the energy sort of dwindles down? Like when you do an investigation yourself.
Yeah.
And
or
the
with
energy
haunted
just-
objects and stuff like that. It's the same. Like they've just been hammered.
Especially the famous ones.
What do you think, Jack? Jack, you must have.
It's funny that he would say that because I think so many people when they watch paranormal shows, and I hate to say it because like paranormal shows for me have gotten so boring because it's the same thing every single time. It's like, how many ghosts are here? How many spirits are here? You like, it's the same stuff over and over. And I think that over time, it's just like the energy fades out because they're so sick of it. Like no one walks in and talks like, this is how I investigate. And I walk into, it doesn't matter if it's a house, a jail, it doesn't matter if it's hotel, whatever it is. And I just communicate with spirit like as if they're real people right there. I have full-blown regular conversations with them. I treat them like as if they're still living and we're just communicating back and forth. I don't need to know how many spirits are here, like, you know what I'm saying? It's just, I think they just literally get tired of just people invading their space, and it's the same thing. Nothing ever changes. The energy is the same. And I think if people would learn to, find a way to communicate with them on a more personal level and talk to them like as if they're still living, because they are there. They're there. I mean, we're communicating with them. You know, we may not see them, we may not hear them, and like as if they're humans standing right in front of us, but they're there and they're communicating with you. And if people would just learn to communicate on a more personal level, you would get so much more back.
I think our other investigator, Kristen, does stuff like that. She'll ask questions like, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? You know, she asks like just random questions that normal people wouldn't ask.
It's very random that way, but we love her for it, don't we?
Yeah. Well, if she's getting, you know, any kind of spirit to interact with her, then maybe they're ready for new things to be asked. But, you know, like, I mean, I'll literally, like, if I'll go into a hotel room, for instance, like there was a hotel where this woman had committed suicide in the room that I was staying in. And I didn't really know that much about like the situation. I waited until I was there to like get to know the room and what was going on. I didn't even actually know before I got there that it was a woman, and I knew I was staying in the most haunted room, but I didn't want any information. And so I brought all these things with me, not knowing what I was even getting myself into. And for some weird reason, even before I left my house, I felt like it was a woman that I was going to be communicating with. So I took like old-fashioned mirror and a brush and dresses and things that I could lay out in the room. And I actually just sat on the bed, and then I had another person with me investigating, and they were holding a paranormal tool that we could like measure like the numbers of like how high it would go up. And so we're sitting there, and like for good 45 minutes, I just talked to her like she's just sitting there, like she's in the room. And I kept asking her, you know, if you'd like to come over and sit with me, we can talk. And then if you'd like to brush my hair, I brought this brush for you. And, you know, I have these really pretty barrettes, and, you know, we can like put them in my hair. And if you'd like to try on my dresses, I've laid them all out on the bed. And then so he started asking like, you know, if you are understanding what she's saying, make this go up to like 16. Like it's sitting there at like maybe a 1 or a 2, and it would just go boop, like right to a 16. Yeah. And so I just kept talking and communicating. And 45 minutes later, he's looking at me and he goes, I'm blown away. Like I've never seen this before. I've never even seen a person interact with spirit the way you do. And I said, I just talk to them like they're here. That's all. I'm just respecting like who they were and you know, their space and like treating them as if like they're just sitting here with me and they're not dead. Maybe they know they're dead, maybe they don't, but that's not how I treat them. And he said, this is just mind blowing. So it's interesting what you'll pick up when you just treat them like that.
See, we also talk to, it doesn't matter if it comes through and says it's a demon or it's a woman or it's a child. We always talk with the same, like it's a person. You know, it comes through. So like I said, things say demon all the time. And we actually do think like the demon that threw the pony gave its name as Marbus. And during the live, I don't know if you saw the on Sunday, Scott. Every time we say the name Marbus, the REM pods would start going off.
Oh wow!
So he's following us, and for whatever reason. But you know, if you look at the mythology of what these are, they're gods, you know, they're spirits, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we're talking to a demon that names herself as Marbus, or a demon that names herself as Lucifer, or a woman called Mary. We will sit and talk to them in the exact same way as we would, you know, if they were.
That's
right
probably why you get so much activity. That's probably exactly why.
Yeah, because most people would say hear the name demon. Like when it said I'm a demon and knocked my pony over, most people would have been off. You said my response in the video goes, I'm a demon. I go, are you? You know, okay. You know,
I go like either. I mean, in life, if you get somebody who's maybe, you know, was a king, and then you get somebody who's maybe was a baker, you know, that passed over. You're talking to them in spirit. You talk to them the same way.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because everybody's equal. You know, there's no.
Yeah.
There's no
That's it.
difference. You know. I mean, let's face it. death comes to us all. You know, everybody dies. You know, and that's, I mean, no doubt, you go back to graveyards, you see the skull and crossbones and a lot of tombstones and grave fires. And that used to be associated with pirates. People used to think there was a pirate buried there. But we know that it's nothing to do with pirates. It's a symbol that tells us, you know, no matter what your status is in life, you're going to die. We all die. So, you know, when you pass over to spirit, you should just talk to them.
I thought the skull and crossbones had something to do with the plague.
No, skull and crossbones, it's a symbol to show that no matter who you are in life,
Yeah.
comes to his goal, basically.
It's like that saying, isn't it? You know, speak to a janitor the same way you'd speak to a king, you know, or CEO or whatever.
It's respect.
So
That's it.
Yeah.
It's all about
Absolutely.
respect.
Yeah.
As we're saying, though, you know, we've probably heard on many lives, you know, if somebody goes in, if somebody spoke to you in the physical life without respect, you wouldn't want to know them. You wouldn't
No,
answer.
exactly. I mean, I don't know if you saw on the live on Sunday, Scott, that like there's a young lad that comes that was with us, Tom. He watches our stuff, and he started to provoke, and I literally stopped him dead and said, "No, we don't provoke, because we don't. Our team do not provoke. If something starts threatening me, then I will shout back at it, you know, but I will not provoke something to get a reaction, you know. But I'm also not going to sit there and take the shit off them, if you know what I mean." So,
What were you, Jax? Have you ever had an argument with a spirit? Just like Nadine said.
I didn't hear you. What?
Have you ever had an argument with a spirit? See what Nadine saying,
You know, no, I've never had an argument with a spirit, but I have had like spirits where they'll interact like through a spirit box where they'll get nasty and start yelling and call you names or whatever it is that they're trying to get your attention. And I just refuse to like give them what they want, because that's what they want. They want that negative energy back because they feed off of it, and their energy gets stronger the more you get angry. And people don't realize that we are a constant energy, and people who can read energy, the minute you start feeling angry, your energy is changing color, and it's changing the way you're feeling, and the way you're feeling is feeding off of others.
yeah.
So I just don't interact. If it gets to that point, I'm just like, okay, well, I'm not bothered by you. Like I will not change how I feel. And it can say the nastiest things in the world, but it's like, hey, that's your problem, not mine.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm not going to give it what it wants because that's what it's looking for.
Yeah. What I mean by is like tell it off is that like I will scold it like a child. I will tell it off like it's a naughty child. But then we just leave it at that. That's all
you can say whatever you want. Your energy is not going to change for speaking up. But if you start like getting angry and like what it's looking for is like it wants you to change. It wants you to get angry. It wants you to feel nasty. It's thriving off of you changing your personal energy into something negative, because it grows. That energy grows and it gets stronger with you because it's feeding off of you.
Yeah.
That's why it feeds off of people in homes when they have like negative problems, fighting, sickness.
Oh, it's so funny you say that, because when we were talking earlier, when I was saying about the residual energies and the imprints, I honestly believe 100% that living people can cause a haunting. Oh, I believe if you've got such negative energy in the house constantly for a certain period of time, paranormal things will start to happen. Absolutely. And it's not a ghost, it's you causing it. Or it's the imprint of the energy in the house.
Well, it's exactly like what I said. Yeah. We're energy, and that's what it feeds off of. Yeah. And if you're constantly giving out negative energy and you're fighting and you're ugly and you're mean and you're, you know, just a hostile, toxic person, that's what you're creating. You're creating your surroundings with negativity. And yes, you're actually like, you're bringing that in. You know, so it's true. You do. That can happen. I mean, how many times do you hear people say, oh, we're the happiest people on earth and we have a haunting. It's usually people who are like,
Yeah,
oh,
down, yeah.
Yeah, we're fighting. It's negative. It's like there's something about the family usually, or an individual or a couple or something that's causing it, for sure.
Yeah.
Sam, what about you? Have you ever done? I know you're kind of chilled and laid back, unlike Nadine, who's kind of full on. You know.
I must admit, I did once when we were down the Royal Arcade.
Twice.
Was it twice? Was it? Okay.
Royal Arcade and the Royal Arcade. I can't think of the other one. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, well, at the Royal Arcade, it kept threatening Nadine, didn't it? We've got it all night.
Always do. They always do. Always going to kill you.
They're looking for your reaction.
Yeah.
And then,
well, they don't get it from me.
Well, I just said, well, you know, you're giving me all these threats. I said, show me what you can do. You know, if you're really what you say you are, you know, show me what you can do. And it did. The safe door just slammed, didn't it?
Wow.
In the room behind us, heavy safe door just slammed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, literally pretty much after he went, well, show me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because he got fed up.
Yeah.
He got fed up of them constantly. I remember watching a live with you and Kim, and I'd said to you in the live that, you know, they keep threatening me. This was a few months back, you know, saying kill her, I want her, you know, that kind of. And even at one point there's a conversation where it sounds like between two spirits of another spirit trying to get another spirit to hurt me. That's legitimately what the conversation sounds like, you know, and the other spirit's like, but I don't want to, you know. And it was things like that were happening. Sam just got really fed up with it. He was like, you know what, do it, you know, show us.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't really say that was getting angry. I think that was just him, you know, telling them that
frustrated.
Yeah, they're not.
No, but
why are you doing this?
I just thought, is it just like weak spirits just playing games, you know, just sort of.
Yeah.
And I thought the only way to clear it out is to find out if it really is what it's saying it is, you know.
I've called spirits bullies. You know, we've been in graveyards and they've started on me. They always seem to go for me, whatever reason. Probably because let's go for whatever. I don't know. But you know, it started to bully me, and I said, well, why are you bullying me? You're being nothing but a bully. You know, we don't want to talk to you. You know, if you're going to be like that, I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, you do need to watch some of their investigations, because Nadine is quite, you know, how do you put it? I mean, there's a totally respectable way dog, a bit of a bulldog, you know, going kind of, you know, bit of growler.
In a nice way.
In a nice way. Yeah, in a nice way. Sam, no offense, I cannot imagine Sam getting angry.
I haven't yet.
I'm the nice one on investigations.
Just always remember to protect yourself, because if you absolutely do feel like there is some, I mean, you should always do that anyway.
Yeah.
Before you go in, before you leave, protect yourself. But if you do feel like there's something negative, straight up tell it.
Yeah.
You cannot hurt me. You don't have the right to touch me, come home with me, hurt me, nothing.
We do.
Like,
we always say
it will attach itself to you if it wants to.
We always say at the end of the night, you do not have permission to attach to us, and you do not have permission to come home with us.
Good.
You know,
that's good. So many people don't do that.
Yeah, we make sure everyone says it.
And we wear necklaces and stuff.
That's
don't
good.
we wear protection as well, don't we? Like necklaces and crystals and whatever. Yeah.
That's good.
Like Sam wears his seal of Solomon. I normally wear pentagram and black obsidian.
We've only really recently started doing the protection. We never used to do it when we first started it. Hi, Seeker Buddy, thanks for coming in. Mind you, when we first started investigating, we'd only done maybe 3 or 4, and then we got hit with lockdown. Do you know what I mean? You know, anywhere. And it was just after we started getting back out, we started to use no protection spells, but just as you say, you know, you don't have permission to come with us or attach yourself to anybody. And so far, Gail and her team, her mum did have a wee episode I'll not get into, but you know, it was sorted out basically, but nobody else in the team has ever had anything come back. I don't think they've ever been threatened either.
See, I know you get people that are like, oh, well, you need to do a certain thing before you go, or you need to do this before you leave. But I don't agree with that. I think it's the same as smudging your house, for example. I believe that when you smudge your house, you could say whatever you want as long as you do it with conviction. You know, as long as you are saying it, like, I mean this, you know, you are not allowed here. And I think that's the same as like when you leave an investigation or if you open an investigation. Like when we open investigations, we normally introduce ourselves and it's softly, but when we leave, it's with conviction. We say you do not. It's not
Right.
it's you do not have permission to attach to us or come home with us. I think as long as you're saying it with conviction, then they know, kind of thing. It doesn't matter what you say, as long as you mean it. That's my opinion.
You need to. No, you're right. I agree. You need to believe in what you're saying. I mean, let's face it. Everybody can stand there and say, right, you know, you're not allowed to come home age. You're not allowed to attach yourself to them. Thanks for communicating, and away they go.
Yeah.
It's just work. You need to believe in what you're saying for the words to have any meaning or any effect or to work. You know, just say anybody can say, right, you're not allowed to attach yourself to me, and you know, because go home.
Yeah.
You can't be laxy-daxy with it. Yeah. You know,
well, if you don't know what you're doing, you shouldn't be out there anyway.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not just some game, you know. I mean, these spirits are real.
Yeah.
So people need to learn. And it's sad because so many people are new in the paranormal and they don't really have anybody to teach them unless they have like, you know, a group or someone to turn to. But so many people just start off like by themselves, have no clue what they're doing and will not protect themselves, walk in, antagonize, and then they leave, you know, and it's like, oh, wow.
Yeah. See, I think because of me and Sam having paranormal experiences all our lives, we had, you know, it's not like the ghost hunting group that go in and just want to find a ghost. You know, it's I think we had some sort of idea from the get-go of how to respond to them and how to speak to them and how to treat them and how to look after yourself because of years of having to do it. You know, that kind of thing. Because we've only been investigating, like I said, about 1.5 years, and we just did it one day. But that was a totally different scenario because we have had the experiences all our lives.
Yeah.
Well, even for just having 1.5 years under your belt, you guys are doing a great job. And I'm like very impressed to hear that you do all those things because that is very important to protect yourself.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's what Josh, my kind of text, firm believing ground myself, so being firm and direct is leaving off with your voice by saying you can.
I was like so blind I can't see.
But I mean, as you say, Jack, you know, as we say, a lot of I blame paranormal shows in a way. Because you get these people, you know, young people, no disrespect to them, but they'll watch maybe Most Haunted or Ghost Adventures, and then they'll phone up a couple of their friends and say, listen, I've just watched Ghost Adventures. Do you want to go and try it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they'll go to, you know, a graveyard or somewhere in the middle of the night, and you know, and they don't have a clue what they're doing.
Yeah.
Not that we're experts by any means, but you do need to have a certain amount of knowledge.
I also think it's teams like that I'm not saying all of them by any means that are likely to provoke because they don't know what they're doing. So they will stir something up that they don't. Yeah, they're the kind that'll go and use a spirit board without knowing what a spirit board is, or you know, they'll come on, show us what you could do, kind of thing, with disrespect, and they will open things that weren't ever supposed to be opened.
Yeah, and it changes what was really happened in them places, doesn't it? Because you know you get people that play around with it too much that don't understand, and you know,
well, it's exactly like, you know, what you guys are saying. It's like what we were talking about earlier about you bring in the negative energy, you're going to get back the negative energy. Yeah. So you bring in the negative, you're going to stir up more negative. So you're just making it worse.
Yeah.
They'll go into a graveyard and say, right, we'll do this because I've seen it in a film. or or Zach Baggins, disrespect Zach Baggins, but Zach Baggins done this, so we're going to do this. And it might sound stupid, but I believe it. If you get a group of youth, in that kind of scenario, spirits, they're no stupid, and if you get a negative spirit and he sees this crowd coming in, you'll be thinking to yourself, easy target.
Easy prey, yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
I mean, you got to think how old some of these spirits are as well. Some of them have been around a long time.
And they see these fresh-faced teenagers coming in who have maybe had a can of beer or two, on a Friday night. Let's go to the graveyard. And he's like, the spirit could be standing there thinking, use are mine,
Yeah.
It's funny that you would say that, Sam, because when you really sit and think about it, those spirits, majority of them that we go looking for, they've been here for a lot longer than we have.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. That's
So
right.
they're looking at us like, who are you? Like, you're nobody.
Yeah.
It's like
I've been here for 100 years.
It is. It's the same thing as people go, well, how can a house be haunted? It's a new house. Well, the land, mate. You don't know how many people have died on that exact patch of land over the millions of years that there's been life, on this planet. How many people have died on that exact spot that you would never even know about,
Yeah.
It could be anywhere the whole lot you built. No.
So true. So true.
That's exactly what I was saying to Mandy. Cummins with Mandy and Jenny for Ghost Sisters the other night, and that's exactly what I was saying. You could get a brand new supermarket that's haunted, and people saying, "Oh, how can it be haunted? It's a brand new, Asda or Walmart, whatever." People, because it's the land that's haunted, it's no. You don't realise that land is there for forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like literally a mile up the road, 1 mile exactly from my house. They've just found a medieval village. When they were building new houses, they found a medieval village in the fields.
Wow.
They're probably everywhere and we don't know about it, settlements and stuff. So,
especially over there.
I mean, it was like last night, wasn't it? You were asking that. I got some wood, didn't I, from a certain house that was a Roman burial ground, wasn't it? And you asked, remember my DJ book, is that a bell?
Oh, right, the street that's built on it now, it's built on an Anglo-Saxon burial ground.
Wow.
Like an actual graveyard, it's fact, it's in the history of the town. This was a graveyard that they built the street on. Sorry, carry on, Sam.
And I got some wood from this house that was, where the burial ground was. They built the houses on top. And I never thought nothing of it, I just thought build it. But
you also got a mirror from there as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
That you had to get rid of.
I got rid of the mirror because it was a portal. So I got rid of that.
Sorry, Sam, carry on.
So then, you do it without realizing as well. Sometimes you buy things as well, and you don't realize what you could be bringing in as well.
To it. Yeah.
And you can do it so innocently as well.
Yeah. I actually did that. Yeah, same thing. I brought 2 items in from it was an auction with haunted items, and this was like 10 years ago. I didn't think twice of it. I brought it in my home and immediately started having the sleep paralysis where you feel like someone's holding you down, something evil's holding you down.
Yeah.
And I never had that before. And I just thought, I don't know what this is, but it scared me out of my mind. And I said, that's it. I'm getting rid of these things. And I never had it again.
Yeah, I absolutely would as well.
Yeah.
Sam was having a lot of things happen in his flat while he had this mirror in his flat. And since he got the mirror in his flat, and since he's got rid of it, it's calmed right down. So, I mean, there's still things happening in his flat, but it's not the negative kind of things that were happening before that. I mean, and on that note as well, I mean, it's not just human spirits. What other spirits are here? What other gods, spirits, demons, whatever. I mean, I don't believe all demons are evil. I don't believe all of them are. Yeah, there will be some, same as humans. I believe a lot of them can help you, and I don't know, possibly, in the Greek sense of the word of gods, You don't know what else is attached to the land of where you are. You know, what was it theirs before anyone's, you know, kind of thing.
I mean, it was
In
like me
certain
and the team was
places.
saying, we were saying last night, we think, and yourself, Jax, what you just said is, I think it's how you speak to them, if it's a demon or not. If you're going to be negative to it,
Yeah.
it's going to be angry with you. But I think if
Yeah.
even if it is a demon and you're nice to it, maybe they can help you. I mean, nobody knows the truth
Yeah.
to everything, but we've
Not
noticed.
that we mess with that, just saying.
No.
Not that we, you know,
We don't
it's
like
just an
summon them.
example.
You know? But it just seems because, like, for example, when Nadine said, you know, it goes, "I'm a demon," you're like, "Oh, you're a demon," you know, and
Yeah.
just talks to it rather than other people would get nasty, and you give them that energy to that where it will come back nasty. It's like a mirror, isn't it?
It
If you look
is.
in the mirror, it's going to reflect how you act. You know, that's where I see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like these
I think
places
people-
that get negative demons and stuff like that attached to them, what have they done? Not saying that people deserve attachments or anything like
I
that.
think people
But
forget how
in the
thin the veil
circumstances.
is, and that there's,
Yeah,
you know, that interaction of sharing energy, and that's why people can get attached, because you're sharing that energy,
mm,
and if you don't protect yourself, off it goes, and it's going with you, you know.
yeah.
I
I think as
people
well,
hear-
it's go on, Scott.
Go on, Scott.
I think people hear the word demon and they just automatically think, you know,
Evil.
Satan, hell, you know, all the bad stuff kind of thing, you know,
Hmm.
horns and spiky tails, you know, the usual
Christianity
thing. Aye.
or those kind of religions, the description of them is what I mean.
That's image in our head. But as you say, we don't actually know.
No.
No.
But,
I mean,
you
you're
know,
only reading off text, aren't you? You know, like about certain.
Yeah, exactly. You're reading what's been written and how much of it has actually been destroyed. We know that most of history's been destroyed by the people that want to write it in their mold it in their fashion, so to speak. You know, we've lost. You know, these gods that are now demons. They've been demonized by religions and people made to believe that these gods are evil. When you go back thousands of years, people worship them as gods and ask them for help, and you know it's like a crazy situation. Like it's how times changed people's perspective on certain beings.
Mm-hmm.
well, that's the thing about time. It does, you know, it changes people's views on everything. I mean, you take, you know, like the witch trials, even in America as well. You know, during the late kind of 1500s through the 1600s, witches, you know, were evil, and but then towards the end of the 16th century, people started to look upon it different. Beginning of the 17th century, the witch trials actually died out.
Mm.
You know, because people had, I don't want to say the word evolved, but you know, people had learned over the last maybe 150 years. Maybe these witches only what
Yeah.
we thought they were.
But if you look even until recently, like it's not like even when I was back at school, the people who like were into the goth scene or the witches or you know the occult kind of thing, they were weird. They were the weird ones, you know. But like now it's getting more. I don't know if it's just because I'm an adult and I don't care what people think if I'm a witch or not, you know. But it's more accepted. It's getting more accepted now. But it's only in the last few years that it's becoming more, you know, accepted. And I do believe that pagan religions are making a massive comeback.
It's very big here.
Mm.
I mean, when you look at pagan and stuff like that, it's very with nature, though, isn't it? Where you look at other religions, I don't want to mention any sort of religion, but when you mention other religions, it's very controlling, isn't it? If you don't do this, you'll go downstairs. You know, if you
That's it.
It's
That's
organized.
it.
Organized religion does that.
Mm-hmm. You do as I say, or you are going down to the fiery pit. And that's it.
And they're all the biggest
control.
Hypocrites you've ever met.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Very, very true, Jack. You know,
I do really think that like paganism is making a massive comeback is what my point was. I think people are realizing that they can be free to be who they want to be, you know, and we're not as oppressed anymore by you know, these threats of, you know, you're going to die if you know, because you got to remember as well, like you would die if you did not believe in what they were telling you to believe in. You were dead.
A
That's
lot
it.
of
Your family
innocent
was
people
dead.
died.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, I think a lot of innocent people died during that time. Like they weren't even involved, and they weren't what they were being called. And so yeah,
It
I
was
think a
so
lot of people
easy as
just
well. If a man
lost their
like
lives.
tried it on with a woman and the woman rejected them, she's a witch.
Yeah.
You know, kill her. That's it. Done.
Aye.
You know.
Yeah.
It was one of the easiest ways to get rid of, you know, a love rival or a land rival, or even somebody you didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as soon as the finger was pointed, you were condemned anyway.
Yeah, you
Um,
were done.
you were, you know, because of the way they used to try and get
Yeah,
confessions.
the total logic. You know, what was it? If they sink the
If they sink, they're
if
innocent.
they
If they swam, if they floated, they were guilty. So they got hung. So
so they were
that
dead
in itself,
anyway. You were
Gonna die
you're
either
dead.
way.
Do you want to die this way or do you want to die that way? It's just
You're a goner.
yeah,
you
like
were,
in the Royal Arcade, we've had a voice through. They've obviously seen my necklace or whatever, going hang her. We've literally had a voice going hang her down there.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
That's
it says
crazy.
witch and then it says hang her.
Well, if you think it's about the different ages, isn't it? You know, they'll be looking at their time, probably their timeline. You know, and probably looking at you thinking she's a witch.
That's it as well. Do spirits see time moving on? Because people say, oh, well, this spirit is French. How would they know how to speak English, for example? Well, if they're intelligent, then they could learn. You know, is that true? You know, or are they stuck in their own time period, or is it different for each spirit? What do you think?
I actually don't believe that once you pass, there is no time. I think that it's just the same all the time. Like thousands of years could go by and it was the same as 1,000 years ago.
Yeah, so
it's like they're now in the same place forever. So I don't think they're aware of time.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Jax. I don't think, you know, basically a spirit can say, well, it's, you know, Tuesday today, it's Wednesday tomorrow. You know, it's just one continuous. I actually get asked, it's going to sound weird. I actually get asked a question just at Christmas time. And I forgot all about it, but I'm going to ask you it because I didn't have an answer to it. Somebody was talking about, you know, paranormal, what at Christmas, and somebody said to me, do you think spirits know when it's Christmas? Well, I've never been asked that before, you know. So, does a spirit know when it's Christmas time sort of thing? I went, well, I honestly don't know. Like, just your topic time and what have you. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
I've never thought about it. I wouldn't imagine so. Unless they died on Christmas. Then they might know it's Christmas.
Well, aye. Aye. I know I kind of just thrown a span on the works there. I just wanted to pop it back into my head. This question.
I don't know. If spirits are intelligent, then maybe.
I think it was an interesting question, but I couldn't answer it.
Because I mean, obviously, we know there's a difference between a residual haunting and an intelligent haunting. So, would an intelligent haunting know?
Well, my question is, if you're in a location and you get an intelligent haunt and they're actually responding to you, are they responding to you in a way of like asking you what's going on? Why are you there and I'm here? And you know, why am I dead? And asking you questions like you would actually think, like, if a person's an intelligent haunt, is it, you know, get me out of here, help me, you know?
Yeah.
Or is it just responding to you because you're asking it a question?
Yeah. I mean, that is the thing, though. You do get help me through a lot in devices. So that's got to be someone that's aware that they're not where they should be.
And that's where I feel like that state of confusion comes in, where it's
Yeah.
like they know they're dead, but yet they haven't passed. Like for me, it's like exactly what we were talking about a second ago. Like I believe like say you die, you go to heaven. I feel like there is no understanding of like time.
Yeah.
Like time has no meaning. You know, once you pass, you pass. It's like you're just there. It's like us living here on Earth. Like we're not sitting here every day going like, I wonder what day I'm gonna die. You know,
Yeah.
you know, we're just living. It's like just normal living. And I think that's what happens is that like you cross and then it's like like we were talking about earlier, I think a tragic death will put you in a different realm of like you weren't supposed to die.
Yeah.
So you're not quite passed on to where you were supposed to go naturally. And I think that's what causes so many, you know, like think about like in a war, like how many people have gone to like a cemetery where like maybe there was like a war and they'll say like, oh, I see soldiers wandering around and like they'll have like no leg or no arm or, you know, like blood or whatever it is. And it's like, I think they're reliving that in their death of what just happened to them. Because like, why aren't we seeing them as a whole person?
I'm glad you used that, Jax, because I was going to ask you about Gettysburg.
Gettysburg.
Oh, yeah, I've been to Gettysburg. Yeah,
I've seen a few photographs over the years of I don't know, Confederate and Union soldiers. You know, there was one photograph I seen that looked like 5 or 6 of them standing together. You know, and another one is with just one soldier. He's got a kind of grey uniform on. He's just kind of walking through. What did you get at Gettysburg? What's your kind of thoughts on Gettysburg?
You know, it's funny because I've actually been there multiple times. And the very first time I ever went, I was probably about like maybe 12, 13 years old. And it was probably the biggest experience I ever had there. And we were all like walking around and there's these little buildings that you can go check out. And I kept seeing like someone walk across. It's like a little 2-story building. And I could see somebody walking across and I just kept looking over like, what is going on? Like, who's up there? And I was talking to the lady who was giving the tour and she's like, oh, nobody's up there. You're not allowed to go up there. And I'm like, people don't work up there? And she's like, no. And I go, I keep seeing a guy like walk by and she's just like, no, there's nobody there. And so I just kept like watching it. And I remember as we walked off, something had my attention. And as we walked off, I felt someone like tap me twice on my shoulder. And when I turned around, there was not a soul there. So we walked through the cemetery area and I just constantly felt that energy.
IMD, sorry. Yeah. It seems like it's such an amazing place to go.
It's an amazing place to go. Yeah. My dad was a huge history buff, so we traveled all around. So I started at a very early age. My dad was in the paranormal, grew up in like, you know, what they would call haunted houses. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if it's the family or if it's an individual person. I used to think as a child, like, oh, people live in haunted houses. But now I believe that people are haunted.
Yes. I was just about to ask that. Do you believe that people could be haunted?
Absolutely. And now I believe without a doubt that that's carried over from my dad to me, because it doesn't matter where I move, where I live. And I've moved 1,000 times in my life. No matter where I live, I have activity. And so now I'm just aware, more aware, I should say, that it carries over with you. It's not the individual house. Like someone could have lived in the place I live now before me and nothing.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think it just carries with you. But
yeah,
a lot of it, I think, has to do with our own, you know, like guardians of our own too.
Yeah.
So for sure.
Yeah, definitely. With the Craig's comment for the Battle of Culloden being like Gettysburg, it's nothing like, the Battle of Culloden was a battle, just like not a normal battle, but it was like that. But the Battle of Gettysburg had a purpose. It was very. Like, I'm not saying that the Battle of Culloden didn't have a purpose. I'm just saying they were fighting for what they truly, truly believed in a total disrespect, because it wasn't not disrespect, different respect. It was. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't believe that Gettysburg and Culloden could be compared as battles, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Because obviously a lot of people are saying that, like, people that know the story of like the Union's Confederates or the basic story of slavery and stuff like that, it's, they were fighting to free people mainly, free peoples that were enslaved. Whereas the Battle of Culloden was the battle for their country. It's a different, totally different cause to fight for, is what I mean.
I think actually what Craig's meaning, I might be wrong, but I think what he's meaning is that Gettysburg to American history, is one of the sort of biggest battles in American history. Well, Culloden is one of the biggest battles in Scottish history.
In Scotland, yeah. See, I'd never heard of the Battle of Culloden until I watched Outlander. So but everyone knows what Gettysburg is,
Oh yeah. Well, what's funny is a lot of people go to Gettysburg and they will actually get footage of soldiers walking around. Like it looks like a spirit, but you can tell it's soldiers, and then it looks like they're still fighting the war.
Yeah.
So, and this is actually quite often.
That wasn't, by the way, any disrespect to the Scottish and their battle. It was just like
just a comparison.
Yeah, it was just the comparison of what people were fighting for was different, is what I mean.
Yeah.
I didn't mean like.
Yeah, Gettysburg was a huge deal.
Yeah. Culloden, of course, was huge to the Scottish and the English. It was. Yeah. Especially to the Scottish, and I didn't mean any disrespect to that.
And I don't know that much about Scottish history, or we're not. I hate to even say this because it's such a horrible thing to say, but like as Americans, we're not really raised learning about like European history and like what goes on. So when people bring things up, I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about, and I don't want that to make us sound like we're idiots. We're just not taught that,
Yeah.
Until we learn on our own.
But like I was saying, I didn't know what the Battle of Culloden was until I watched Outlander, like a few years ago. That's the only reason I knew about it. And then, of course, I've made Scottish friends and they've talked about it and stuff like that. But I don't believe we were taught it either.
Yeah, we're taught very, very little here about European, history.
But there again, history is written by the victors, isn't it? So the English people probably wouldn't teach the Battle of Culloden, because we won it, and that's in their eyes. That's it,
So what about,
anyway, we've digressed a little.
I know we're not off track. So get back to the spirits. It's one thing. A question for you, and I'm asking. I'll tell you why I'm asking about it. Would you think spirits? We're talking spirits in time frames and etc. How they see us and what? Do you think spirits actually have conversations with each other?
Yeah,
I'm having a hard time hearing him.
Do you think that spirits have conversations with each other? Like I said, in the Royal Arcade, I definitely got two spirits talking with each other.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt.
So.
I'll tell you why I'm asking, because when we got Caldwell, I sent clips to different people, Jim Martin as well, Jack, he broke it down.
Sorry.
And one of the clips I sent to Jim, he came back and said that, and Andy Murphy said the same thing, which I found really interesting, was a male and a female spirit. The female is kind of the dominant one, and she turns around and says to the male, and we've picked up, they can see you. Obviously, we couldn't see them. but
Yeah.
she's telling him basically be quiet because they can see you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was like what Nadine was saying earlier, you know, and she said one spirit to try to get another spirit to harm her. You know, like they were trying to talk to each other to plan things, it was quite strange at the time, wasn't it, when we were hearing it? You know, they do
But-
communicate.
So yeah, like you're saying, Scott, you know, another spirit could be saying like, no, just be quiet, you know, we don't want them. Because not all spirits want to communicate, remember? It's not like, not every spirit you go into, you're like, oh, go into blah, we got absolutely nothing there, it's not haunted. It's not necessarily it's not haunted, they just don't want to communicate with you. And maybe the spirit that was there with you, Scott, was like, you know, we don't want them to know we're here kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've actually had an experience where you'll go into a haunted location and then there'll be one specific spirit that's trying to control the other spirits. So I think like if you're a very controlling, like mean person in life, like that's going to carry over into your afterlife. And it's very weird because this has happened in multiple locations where we'll realize that there's one specific, you know, maybe like stronger spirit that's trying to control all the other spirits, tell them what to do, not to speak, you know. And
we've experienced that as well. Yeah,
it's interesting.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you, a question for the panel. I'm kind of 50-50 on this one, so I can't really, I don't know much about it. Can people help spirits over? Now, I've watched people who, you know, have claimed to be doing it, you know, helping pass over, what have you.
The thing is, I guess we'd never know though, would we? Because someone could help a spirit pass over and then the spirit goes quiet. That doesn't necessarily mean it's passed over. It just means it's lost its energy or it's gone like somewhere else. It doesn't want to talk anymore. You know, I'm not saying that people can't pass spirits over. I don't honestly know enough about the subject to have a wide opinion on it, you know. But I think that not every spirit that you try to cross over would cross over. I don't. I want to in that case, actually, because I did. I was with another investigator who was trying to cross spirits over, and this spirit didn't seem like it wanted to cross over. And he was like, "Oh, well, your family's like, how do you know it liked its family? How do you know it wanted to see its family? How do you know it wasn't abused by its family? You know, not everyone wants to go be with their family or their loved one. Not everyone has them, and for good reason, you know.
Yeah.
So people say, "Oh, go to the light. You know, go be with your family." Well, I don't want to. You know.
I actually believe that exactly what she's saying about being confused about that situation of you're not quite sure what's going on and that's why you haven't crossed over. I think it takes someone like we were talking about earlier when you go in and you do it with like full knowledge and you know what you're doing and you're professional enough to help them. I think once you explain to them what has happened to them, it will help them to understand like why they're there. I think they really are in a state of confusion. And I think they're wondering like, why am I in this place? What's happening to me? You know, crazy enough, I've actually heard spirits respond in a way where they'll say, I'm confused.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, whoa, I mean, that's mind blowing because it makes you take a step back and go, wow, they really don't understand what is going on and where they're at and, you know, how to get to that next place or whatever. But like I said, if it's tragic death, it causes them to not fully understand and comprehend, like, I just died. I'm somewhere like they're in a state of confusion. So I think if you go into a location and you know that this spirit had a tragic death and they're stuck there, maybe if you explain to them, look, this is what happened to you. You know, someone came in here and they shot you and you died that day and this is what occurred. And maybe if you explain to them, they'll have more of an understanding. Believe it or not, they really are, you know, communicating. That's why they communicate with us. They know they're somewhere. And that's what's going on. So I think if you get that over to them and they have a better understanding of like, oh, wow, that happened to me, then you can help them cross over.
I think also that denial may come into it a lot with some, because I mean, you know yourself as living humans, you will know someone or yourself or something that has been in total denial of something right in front of your eyes, but you don't want to believe it. So I think that could happen a lot, not a lot. So that could happen also where the spirit is in denial, where I'm not dead. You know, how can I be dead, kind of thing. It
Well,
doesn't
let's
make
just
sense and causes
perfect
confusion.
example of, let's
Yeah.
just imagine someone walked in right now. We're all in this, you know, live chat, and someone shoots you in the back of the head. You don't see them coming, but you're dead. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
you're just dead. You know, I mean, how are you going to feel?
Mm.
You know, if you all of a sudden you're just dead, and it's just like what just happened to me? Now I'm in this different place. I'm no longer alive, but I'm not naturally crossing over.
Yeah.
I suppose you wouldn't.
Where am I?
You wouldn't notice that at first, would you? Because you wouldn't know what happened.
You wouldn't even know what happened to you.
No. And I think.
And you have to remember that when you're talking to people, like when you realize, like, wow, this person was most likely murdered or was a tragic death or something happened to them. Because how many people, like I said, do you find out, oh, we're investigating this guy or this woman or this child who died this natural death?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, their life is usually taken very quickly. So, you know, it's something for people in the paranormal to think about, because I think they forget that there's that instant, like you're alive 1 second, now you're dead.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be really confusing, wouldn't it? You know, you're like, where am I? Wouldn't you? You'd be like, what's going on? You know, it would take you a while, I think,
That's
to
what we
focus and realise where you are.
The crossing over thing, I tend to go with that, Nadine. To me, this might sound a kind of stupid comparison, but I imagine there's two rooms. You know, you get a spirit in one room and there's a door.
Yeah.
And it's up to them, you know, if they want to get through into the next room. You know, you can try and coax them, whatever, convince them, whatever, but at the end of the day, it's their choice whether they want to go into that room.
Yeah.
And then again, the coaxing, as Jack says, you know, if you explain to them what happened, then they can make a choice. You know, right, that, you know, that kind of like, that makes sense now. So, right, I'll go. You know.
Well, think about it. Like, how many investigations have you ever seen, either on TV or you've done yourself, where someone has explained to that person that's dead what happened to them? Like, it just doesn't happen. They just don't. They just don't even think to bother. It's just like, oh, are you here? You know, how many spirits are here? They just like want to have this like kind of like you know, basic conversation, back and forth questions, but they don't really like go deep with them and explain to them like, look, this is what happened to you. Are you aware? You know, maybe they're not.
Yeah. So I think if it kind of, the way I've just thought about it in my head would be like, you're just taken and suddenly put behind thick bulletproof glass, and you can see your family and your house and your friends and everything going on around you, but they cannot see you and they can't communicate with you except little tiny bits where they maybe hear you bang on the glass. You know, that's what I've just pictured in my head when I was picturing what it must be like to be a spirit. Like that's happened to.
Well, think about how frustrating that has to feel.
Yeah, exactly. And you'd be banging, you'd be like, I'm here kind of thing, but not realizing that they can't.
And all you're wanting is communication. You're wanting someone to, you know, hear you, see you, feel you, anything, communicate with you, and they're not.
Yeah.
You know, and then when they do, they want to ask you crazy questions, and there's no real like communication. It's just like, hey, what's your favorite color?
Yeah. What's your favorite food? I'd answer that question. I would answer that question. That is how you get my attention. That is, When I'm a ghost, ask what my favorite food is. I will answer.
Well, I bet you $1 million the next investigation you go on and you actually do realize that there are spirits that have passed on, maybe tragically, maybe not.
Yeah.
It'll make you think deeper.
Yes, exactly. It will. Yeah, 100%.
Donna's saying since we all meet gathering angels look like they would lead the way. There is that theory that when we pass over, that usually it's a family member or somebody who's close to you in the physical will come and meet you, and lead you over, kind of thing. What do you think of that? I mean, I know I've had some relatives that passed away, my dad especially, and not long before he went, he was kind of in and out of consciousness, in hospital. And quite a few times he would say, Mum, Mum. And obviously we'd be sitting at the bed, kind of, what's he talking about? I'm getting back 1995, I think. So I'm getting back a few years before I really, really get into the paranormal. As we say, Mum's here. But he was kind of mumbling, half conscious. And we used to just think, it's maybe the pain or the drugs or whatever. Then he started to think, well, what if my gran was there because she knew his time was near, and she was coming back and forward to, like, it's not quite your time yet, son, but I will come back. And when you're ready, to go, kind of thing. What do you think of that? Do you think maybe there someone comes to get us or meet us, whatever?
I think that the fact that people believe that when they die, they're going to see their loved ones is a massive comfort to people. I think that's it. And I think the mind, I'm not saying they're not seeing their loved ones at all, because they could possibly be, but I think the mind is an amazing thing when it comes to traumatic events. And what would you want to see when you die? You would want to, you would want to see your family. So whether it's happening or not, the brain believes that is what's happening when you're shutting down. The same as your life flashing before your eyes when you're going to get hit by a car and you get out the way, is your brain looking for similar scenarios to help you get out of that situation. That's why your life does flash before your eyes. But it's also, like I've just said there as well, that not everyone wants to go with their family. Some people might get stuck here because they're like, no, I hate you, go away, kind of thing. And then maybe they do get stuck here. But in my opinion, I'm not pooing on anyone's beliefs in that, because I do believe it does happen, whether it is actually spiritual or it's like ghosts or whatever, or whether it is just the brain dealing with the trauma of dying. I don't know, but I do believe it does happen.
What were you, Sam?
The only, I had a strange thing with my granddad when he passed away. He was in a coma, and when I went to see him, the rest of the family had been to see him. Bear in mind, he's in a coma, he's flat out, When I grabbed hold of him, he tried to say something that I never understood to this day what he said, because it was a lot of mumbling. But it was like the next day, it's like he knew he was going to go, but he wanted to try and say something to me before he passed.
Yeah, but that's normal, but that wasn't the question. The question was, do you believe that he had family waiting for him after he passed?
Oh, sorry.
To meet.
Digressed a bit.
That's no, it's fine.
I would probably say.
Do you believe your granddad in the coma could see his family waiting?
But what I believe though is when he did pass over, my grandma still felt he was there, like he was waiting for her. Like I felt it as well in the house. I could sort of sense it. Just still felt like he hadn't left.
Yeah.
He was still there.
I think that's a similar thing to like we were saying with pets and stuff, ghosts and stuff. I do believe that if your dog dies, he'll wait for his master to die, or move, or wait for his master to be okay before they move on, kind of thing. And that's if it is intelligent, or that might just be wishful thinking because humans love their pets, And sorry, Sam, I've totally pinched your point.
No, but
over there, Nadine, like the Nadine show.
Yeah, this is the Nadine show, right? I will have you know. Okay, it's all about me. Sorry, go on, Sam.
No, but it's like my grandma kept phoning me up, and she goes, you know, like, your granddad's still here. You know, and she kept telling me on the phone. And when it went up, I felt the same thing. It was strange, you know. It was still like he was still in that house, you know. And it was a nice feeling. It wasn't negative or nothing, you know. It was like, I mean, they've been together since school, you know, since he was 16. He was 65 when he passed. You know, it's a long relationship, you know. So I think he was looking after. I think he was looking after her as well. You know, I think he was probably there to make sure she's okay, because they loved each other, you know, thick and thin. You know, I mean. So I don't know. I'd say the family, in a way, probably does wait for them and stuff like that as well. You know, I do believe in that.
I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of 50-50. What about you, Jax? I know you just recently.
Without a doubt, I believe there's people waiting for us. Our pets are waiting for us. Anyone that we loved, I 100% believe that your afterlife is your basic heaven. Like, you know, you have your family members that you loved, your pets that you loved, whatever it was in your life that you loved, I believe is waiting for you. I've had some really strange experiences myself in my life. I'm actually in the middle of I'm starting a book. I shouldn't say the middle. I wish I was in the middle. But I'm starting to write a book, and I'm going to write a lot about those experiences. But I personally have had some very strange things happen where you almost feel like you're crossing over and you start seeing weird things, like weird lights and weird people and things that shouldn't be there. And you're wondering, what's happening? Where am I? Like, am I dead? Am I still here? And I think that's what's convinced me that you cross into a state of confusion, because I'm instantly starting to think, like, am I seeing what I'm seeing? Am I feeling what I'm seeing? Am I even here? Am I dead? Am I alive? Like, what is happening? So, you know, lucky for me, I mean, some of my friends are convinced I'm like, I've died and I've come back, and like, I don't know what exactly happened to me, but it's definitely puts you in a different state of mind for sure. But without a doubt, I believe there are 1,000,000% there's people waiting for you. Your loved ones are there.
Yeah, that's another interesting point of the, I don't know if you call it paranormal, no, Jax, what you just said about, you know, you died and came back. You read all these many cases, you know, children, adults who have maybe died in the operating table, you know, for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. I think there was one case, it was like 30 minutes, and then they come back and they're able, you know, especially children, they're able to describe or point to photographs of relatives that, you know, are long past, you know, before the kids were born, or you've had adults who can turn and say, well, I was watching all of you and you were saying this and you were saying that, and the doctor was there. What do you think of that? You know,
I think it is. Sorry, I just keep jumping in, don't I? I think even though you're dead, obviously they're still trying to revive you. Your brain is still alive, and you can still hear what's going on. You're still conscious of what is going on in your surroundings. On the interesting point, which we'll talk about after, hopefully, before I digress, is the same as children having past life experiences, where they can take people to their past lives. You know, it's maybe their uncle is waiting for them, you know, and they have seen their uncle when they've died, or when they're technically dead, but hearing what was going on around them is possibly because the brain. See, I always try to look for a logical reason, but I always say I was trying to look for natural before supernatural, and I think it could be that they are, you know, it's still audible to them, you know, because the brain isn't dead. Their brain is still very much alive, otherwise they wouldn't be able to bring them back to life.
Well, personally for me, and I've talked about this actually on the show, my very first paranormal experience was me actually seeing a dead uncle of mine that passed before I was even born.
Mhm.
So there is no explanation for me seeing him and spending time with him. And I do believe that he has watched over me my entire life. Every horrible incident I've ever had, I have felt his presence.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that there are certain people who are connected to you. Your energy is connected, and there's a reason for that. Like, I mean, I never met the man. He died before I ever came into the world. But it's funny that you would bring up past life experiences, because my 13-year-old son has autism. And when he was probably about maybe 5, 6 years old, he started telling me about his past life. And it was interesting because he just barely started learning how to speak at the age of 5 and 6. So it's like almost after he was learning to speak, he was already telling me these things. And it's like, how did you even know? But to bring one funny thing that I will never forget, and that now that we're talking about this, and it's kind of like a theory, but I always find it interesting. But I have heard that a lot of people believe, like, you know how they say, like, when you die, you see the light? I actually heard that a lot of people believe that, like, that light is like, you think that it's when you die, you see the light, but it's actually when you're coming out of
rebirth.
Born.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard that multiple times, and it makes you think about it.
It does, absolutely.
Cycle of life.
When I first saw that, I was like, oh my God, that could be so true.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a mind blower. It's like, whoa. It makes you think about it. Yeah. Sure.
Would you think so? I know I keep budging because I've got a pampered cat beside me.
Oh.
On getting attention. You know what I mean?
Oh, Joe, you're going to make me cry, Scott.
Oh.
No, my cat died last week.
Oh, no.
I mean, like, what I was always wondering as well, though, do you think you stay in the same bloodline when you get, you know, when you come back round?
No.
You know, do you think it's the same family, or do you think you just go randomly at different people at the time when you pass and come back round to someone else?
I know some of my past lives, and I know this is not the same bloodline. So
I think they're different, as well as I think that there is a reason why there are certain people in this life that you will have a massive connection with, because
absolutely.
you knew them in a past
soulmates.
life.
Yeah, because I don't believe a soulmate has to be a relationship or a romantic partner.
I have soulmates that are like my girlfriends.
Exactly. Sam is my soulmate. Me and Sam met when I was 15. I'm now 35 nearly. And, you know, we connect. There's nothing like that between us, but we are best friends and we talk every day, and, you know, we just connected as soon as we met.
Yeah.
And I believe your soul can just connect with someone, and that's it. The bond there, the same as you can look at someone and go, I don't like you. Maybe you've crossed their paths, their souls before in a different life, because you might meet someone for no reason whatsoever and go, I do not like this person.
That gives me goosebumps because it's so real.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you just instantly, like, you don't even know them. You just, like, barely meet them, and you're just like, yeah, there's something not right.
Mm-hmm.
Something not right here. I don't like you.
Exactly.
I don't like your energy.
Mm-hmm.
That way. I don't have any memories of past life, but I've always had a pull towards Greyfriars for years. Every time I went to Edinburgh, even, you know, just a walking trip, whatever, myself, whatever, I have to go up to Greyfriars, you know. And I was talking to a medium a couple of years back now, quite reliable medium, you know, wasn't he a crack or anything. And this medium says the reason you've got is because you're buried in Greyfriars. You were a soldier called Greg. I think it was Greg or Gregory, my name was going to be. You were a soldier, and that's where you're buried. You were buried in Greyfriars, and that's why you're such a strong pull to that location. You know, it was quite back. It was just constantly. Every time I went to Edinburgh, you know, I need to go up. I need, even if I stand inside the gate for 10 minutes and then leave again. I'd been, you know, and this is what I get told, it was that past life, but I don't have any memories of it or whatever, just this pull towards Greyfriars.
No, I could totally relate. Totally relate. Because I never even knew where Denmark was before I lived there. kind of thing. But I always knew what Denmark. I remember my sister telling me about like the mermaid and stuff when I was little, and I had memories when I was little of the mermaid statue. That obviously they're not my memories. Then when I moved to Denmark, I felt more at home in Denmark than I ever have in England, and I don't mean that to sound like wrong, because obviously, you know, I'm not going to go patriotic or anything, but
It's just a
it
connection.
felt like home. I knew the place kind of, you know, it spoke to
Interesting.
me. So I definitely believe that I've lived there before in a different life.
I was in Denmark when I was 12. I went with the Scouts for 2 weeks to Valorant in Denmark. And we went to Copenhagen we went to the Carlsberg breweries.
Yeah.
And I've seen the Mermaid. And we went to Roskilde. The big Viking museum was there at the time as well. That's my memories of, and chocolate ice cream. That's my memories of Denmark.
Well, I lived in Copenhagen, and it was like I knew it. You know.
Wow. You definitely had a connection, that's for sure.
But that's the thing about the paranormal. There's that many different avenues to it. There's that many
exactly.
theories and strings, and you know, that's what makes it so fascinating.
That's why it is so amazing.
It never ends, does it? It never ends with paranormal.
And there's so many different opinions because none of it's fact. You know, none of it can be proven that like you're right and you're wrong, and you know, it's just, it is what it is. It's your theories and
all theories.
Yeah, exactly.
And literally until we die, we're not gonna know.
No.
You know?
And even when we do die, we're probably not gonna be able to.
No, we're still gonna be like, now I still don't know.
Yeah. They're like, come on, Jax, tell us. You'd be like, I just don't know. What? Just leave me alone. I'm off to my next life. See the light.
Crap, I thought I had all the answers. I was so wrong. Where's my dog?
Exactly. Go, boy.
I just want my dad and my dog.
That is so me when I die. I want all my animals back.
I forget you people. Where's the dog?
Yeah, exactly. There were you again.
I saw you last month. Where's my dog? Honestly,
but I mean, that's what makes it so fascinating and what have you. We just don't know. I think this is a good time with shows like this. You know, I'm not saying ours is the best show. I'm talking about live doing these kind of shows in general.
It is the best show because guess what? It's the Nadine show.
Oh, it's the Nadine show. That's right. I forgot about that.
There is a story behind this, but there's a story.
We'll tell you the story after we come off the live.
Yeah, after we come off.
Fill you in on the Nadine show. But I mean, shows like this, you know, everybody's live. It brings people together. As Nadine says, everybody's got a different point of view. Everybody's got an opinion. And it's good that we can sit and share them. You know, people come in to chat, maybe with the odd question or two, and we can give our views. We might not give the answer, you know, but we can give our opinion on it that might help somebody. You know, well, you know, kind of, I never thought of it that way, or this, you know.
Yeah,
like
exactly. And everyone's experiences are different, so you can learn from each other.
Well, it's exactly how we grow and learn in the paranormal field, because, like, I mean, it's exactly like what you said. None of us have the answers. We all have theories. We all have experiences, and that's how we learn. You know, and then we share it with each other. And I mean, I believe in just keeping it positive and, you know, trying to do your best and like moving forward and learning. And, you know, I mean, what more can you do?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And that's the way we love it. But that's just nearly the 2 hour mark, ladies and gents. We'll wind it up there just now. If that's all right with you. Nadine, is that okay with you, Paul?
What?
Is that okay with you, Nadine?
Oh, I don't know. I suppose it has to be, doesn't it, considering you control it.
Have you had enough limelight? Have you had enough limelight now?
Yeah, I've had my fix for today.
Have you had your hour and 55 minutes of fame?
Yes, exactly. That's it. That'll do for today.
But we'll explain this just when we come off, Jack. Nadine, we'll explain it. We don't want to steal her thunder, you know what I mean? Basically.
He's joking, by the way, guys. We are totally joking. I'm not conceited. I'm not like, hey, look at me, you know, kind of thing. He's totally joking.
In any way at all. You know what I mean?
You've got to have some laughter.
Well, I'm coming over in March, so I can't wait to meet you all.
Oh, yeah, we'll definitely have to come up and meet you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you.
You don't need to come down, you know.
No, we'll need to go up to you.
No, Jax is going to London. We're going to London to meet Jax, so you need to get down. You can go up if you want, but you'll end up in Scotland, and we'll not be there.
I don't know where anything is. I'm just going to be wherever I'm at.
Yeah, if I was going to Scott, I'd be going up. Coming to you, we'd be going down.
Jax, just you go on the plane and see where it
Yeah,
lands.
you just make sure you get on the plane and it lands, and you'll be fine.
Hopefully on the runway.
I'll be like, where's this plane going? I'd like to be in first class if that's open, please.
If you see rain, you've hit the right spot.
Yeah. That's how the pilot gets here.
I'd be like, let me drive this thing.
Turn it round.
We may not get off the ground if they let me drive.
Head for the grey clouds over there. Head go that. Turn left.
Yeah.
Go on the left.
Yeah. You see that darkness?
I know we're going over the pond. I'm not quite sure where we're landing, but
follow the darkness.
Once we no longer have sunshine, I know I'm no longer home.
As long as they land on the runway, you know, that's the main thing. So, thanks to Sam and Nadine. Sorry, I should have said Nadine's name first. Thanks to Nadine and Sam.
Yeah, you better rephrase that.
Thank you.
It was wonderful meeting you.
It was lovely meeting you too, Jackson. Thank you for having us, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you to everybody who came in to chat for your comments, and thanks to my lovely co-host Jax, who will be heading over this way in March. So keep an eye on. So we're back next Thursday, and we have one of the founders of the Paraunity on, Tim Johnson, who I know Jax is going to love. Tim's an amazing man. Nadine's amazing as well. I must add that in.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I know it's not all about me, Scott, right? But you haven't even said what team we're part of.
What?
You haven't even said what team we're a part of.
Oh, I'm bowing out.
You didn't put our logo anywhere. Look, you asked for my logo. There's no logo.
I'm so glad she put that on you. I know nothing. Don't blame me for anything.
Yeah.
I'm doing the program.
We're from SUNDOWN Paranormal UK, guys. If you want to join us, if not, I mean, you might have hated us and be like, "Oh God, block." But
oh, God, block. Making me cry now. I definitely want to come and investigate with you.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
Awesome.
If you don't join, Nadine will be around to see you. There we go. That's
Thank you, guys.
I gotta get my own show.
I do.
I'll have you on my next show.
I'm being modest. No, I don't, Craig. What are you on about?
So say good night there, folks. And
thank you, guys.
We'll see
thank you, guys.
Thank you.
So take
Catch
care
you next week.
Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.